Well, Nikachu has been playing Merfolk every week, so there's like some certain cards missing that he might not have in his normal Merfolk build. So I think every week his Merfolk build gets a little bit more and more awkward as time goes on. So I think that might catch up to him here.
I'm kind of rooting for him to just keep winning because I really want to see what the fifth version looks like, the top 8 version. I don't know how it's even
Right?
possible. So for opening hands, looks like a pretty decent merfolk hand. There is a moth lit changeling or moth dust changeling, not the best merfolk, but otherwise looks good. Rhinos, maybe a land short, a rhino in hand, a lot of forces. What do you think about the rhino hand? Is that keep even?
Well, you have Leyline, and Leyline is almost a two-card combo with Scion, so whenever I play
That's
Domain, I
true.
tend to just keep any hand with Leyline. The force double force negation's a little awkward because there's not a lot of things to counter besides Aether Vial, and then with the Crashing Footfalls, you've already kind of mulliganed already, so I don't know, it's kind of close.
Yeah,
Like, this hand
it's
doesn't
a
really do anything, but you have some good draws, so, not
Yeah,
really
it's
sure.
always tempting if you got the ley line just because it's such an explosive card. And it looks like BBD is going to keep it for the ley line and stick it into play here on turn 0 and start off with a land and the good old suspend crashing footfalls. Exactly how you want to make your rhinos in modern, waiting 4 turns.
Yeah, I guess his hand is a little bit better on the plays since the falls might actually come into play. Um, yeah.
The spell pierce is actually pretty big, I think, from the merfolk side. Actually, we see the ether vial here on turn 1. Is this worth snapping off the force negation? How
Oh,
many good
for
targets are
sure.
there even? Yeah.
I mean, there's Flame of Venor, but you don't really care about Flame of Venor in this card. You might keep a lot of loose hands with Aether Vial just because it casts all your creatures. So yeah, I definitely like countering it.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna put a Moth Dust Changeling into play next turn. Can't have that. The mighty Moth Dust. We see a Fire Ice, which is actually pretty good
Ooh.
against Merfolk off the top. Not the worst draw for BBD.
Yeah. Oh, wow. He didn't upkeep it. I wonder if he just wants to use the removal aspect of it.
I'm guessing he's thinking he's gonna try to snipe a Lord maybe rather than cycling. Although cycling it's tempting, right? Because you have the Ardent Plea to cascade into Rhinos if you hit a land. Here we see the
Hmm.
Moth Dust.
Yeah, it looks like both players are taking a slower approach this game.
Yeah,
Nikachu wants to leave
Nikachu.
it Pierce.
Yeah, which makes sense. Turn 3 is kind of the big Rhino turn normally, and CBBD like hovering around hoping a land comes off the top. So the Spell Pierce is going to be really impactful if there is a land off the top here, I think.
This Scalding Tarn's extremely good as well, because BBD might have been keeping it in hand to try and tap the land DOT so he doesn't get pierced, but now with the Scalding Tarn, he doesn't have that as an option.
Is BBD going to kill a Moth Dust Changeling here? Oh, hmm. Are we cycling anyway? Okay, we're going to kill the
He's
Moth
killing
Dust.
it, wow.
Thing for one. So not going to wait around for the Lords. I imagine this not enough for the Spell Pierce, and Nikachu seems to agree there. Well, BBD is down to 1 card in hand, and that is so once
Classic.
there's one more land, there's gonna be a lot of rhinos coming. But
Mhm.
for now, all Cascade spells.
Yeah. Does Nikachu have the Surveil land? Oh, he does,
Ooh,
nice.
there it is. Yeah, it's so funny how good those lands ended up being. I was thinking when they first came out, probably not good enough for aggro, but good in mid range and control. But looks like they're good enough. Ooh, it's a Flame of Venor on top. Do you keep it, Luna? Is this worth it? It kills a rhino.
I would keep it just because your opponent missed a land drop, so you're kind of cool just going land pass, leave up Pierce. If you don't do anything, draw two.
Yeah, I would have been tempted to. A draw two seems nice, but it looks like it's heading to the bottom here. Maybe going for a slight, well, okay. A non-mutavault land off the top is kind of big because it lets Nikachu get down a Lord and leave up the Spell Pierce, which he's definitely been valuing.
Yeah, I think that's what he was probably wanting. He kind of wants to get on the board.
And yeah, so the Lord is down. We're gonna see some. Oh, okay. So it looks like BBD might be going for some surveil lands here. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
trying
that
to
land
find
drop.
land number 3, and I believe that card was left on top, so it's got to be a land.
Yeah, especially with the other fetch. He could have fetched again for another surveil.
So here's land number 3. We're going to see Shardless Agent. So
Mm.
Spell Pierce can't hit the Shardless Agent, but it can definitely hit those Crashing Footfalls, which is about to come off the top of the deck.
Mhm.
I wonder, is Rhino still in good shape here? I kind of forgot about the Crashing Footfalls that suspended. Like over the next 2 turns, we're going to see double Crashing Footfalls hit the battlefield. I wonder if the 2 Merfolk Lords there is an island, so Island Walk is on. I wonder if that's gonna be enough to race.
I think it's just a huge draw step for Nikachu because, like you said, the crashing footfalls are gonna start coming down. But if Nikachu whiffs, oh, yeah, this is
Ooh.
gonna make the clock a lot slower.
So there is a Mutavault. You can get down the other Island Walk Lord, chip in for 3, get down the Mutavault, and the next turn you can attack for 8?
It's
Maybe,
10, right? 3,
oh,
6,
is it?
10, because the
Oh,
Mutavault
oh,
gets double
right,
buff.
right, right. Yep, I was missing the Mutavault buff, you're right. So actually, maybe you just win the race unless BBD hits, some removal here.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing a very removal heavy deck either.
Yeah, and the fire ices, the lords kinda outscale those, so you can't really snipe the lords with those. So we might see a bunch of rhinos, but the rhinos island walk, pretty powerful, might not be enough to stop these little fish.
Yeah. Um,
So here's
yeah, this
crashing
race is
footfalls. Oh,
hmm.
actually, wow, but at the same time, BBD is gonna put 18 power into play. So if Nikachu swings out this turn, he would die in the backswing. We're actually going to be in a very interesting spot here. I think Nikachu really needs a top deck, like just some sort. The Flame of Enor would be pretty good right now. Just to killing one Rhino, I think swings the race.
Yeah, he's got a lot of live draws.
So we see 4 Rhinos on the battlefield, a lethal potentially board of Tramplers. Going back to Nikachu, huge top deck here. Needs a non-land for sure. Ooh,
That is
okay.
really interesting.
Yeah. So a Tuar is too expensive to fire up the Mutavault and bounce a Rhino, but you could attack for 6, bounce a Rhino, and then next turn try to Alpha Strike and survive it.
Yeah.
Yeah, survive it. Ooh, 4, something like that. 5.
Yeah, Ottawa is actually not a bad draw.
It might be enough here. So here's the attack. BBD dropping down to 8 from the 2 lords. We see Cavern hit the battlefield, land number 5. And wow, we're back to another big draw step here. What is BBD's best draw? Maybe just a Sign of Draco or something?
Well, he still dies on the backswing
Oh, I
even with the
guess that doesn't
Scion.
save him, does
He
it?
needs, like I think he needs ice into another ice so he can double tap.
Do some tapping. So we see a
Yeah.
Surveil here, and that's Leyline of the Guildpact, definitely not gonna do it. So let's go into the graveyard. And well, as powerful as Leyline is when you have it on turn 0, not the best top deck. On turn 5 here, 6. Here's a big attack, but I don't think it's going to be enough. BBD's just hoping the Nikachu doesn't have anything. We know a Tuara in hand going to take down a Rhino, and I believe that's the win for the Merfolk.
Mhm.
That was a close race.
It was very close, and BBD was even on the play for that game, so we're
Yeah,
both powerful.
and Merfolk, the Deep Root Pilgrimage. I guess you can play it as a flex. You might as well make those tokens.
The
I
combo
guess,
with Moth's Changeling.
yeah, that is kind of cute actually. And we're gonna see some the Merfolk tokens here on the way out the door. So here's the attack. Lining it up. It is lethal. Gonna get to make a hexproof. Well, no, he won't. We'll see the concession here. And on to sideboarding. So how much does this matchup do you think change in sideboarding, Luna?
Let's see. BBD has disputes, and Pikachu has
Looks like
what
force
is Pikachu?
negation was the
Force
first thing
negation.
that he went through
Hmm.
towards. Yeah. So counter spells on both sides.
Force negation's pretty good since Violent Outburst is gone, so all the rhinos are now sorcery speed. Dispute is also decent, but Aether Vial plus Cavern makes it so a lot of your merfolk are uncounterable.
Yes,
But
that's
Dispute is
true.
also good at forcing your rhinos through. I don't
What do
think
you
the
think about
matchup changes too much.
What do you think about the Deep Root Pilgrimage? So we see them all go out almost immediately. Is that a play draw thing, you think? Like they're a little bit too slow if you're on the draw compared to being on the play?
Yeah, trying to amass a bunch of tokens against 4/4 rhinos just doesn't go as a good game plan
Mm.
for going long. You definitely just want to kind of have something more closer to the original game plan, like you had game one with the two lords, just trying to island walk and counter timely crashing footfalls and just buy yourself enough time.
Yeah, that seems like the plan. Staying aggressive. The ones just they're fine, but they're just not that impactful against the bigger bodies from the Rhinos deck with Scions and Rhinos and so forth. And looks like we're on to game number 2. We're gonna see BBD on the play again with the Rhino deck.
Mhm.
And hmm, that is a land heavy Merfolk hand, but a decent that seems like a pretty good hand from Rhinos. We don't see a ley line, but we have ley line binding for removal. There's a Scion that can come down early and a Shardless Agent to hit some Rhinos.
Ooh, Nikachu mulligan. I was thinking with the double fire outlet, maybe he was okay with it, but doesn't want.
Mulligan into a bunch of Spell Pierces, which paid off really well last game. Will they be as impactful this game? I guess they don't stop the sign of Draco, but we still see the Shardless Agent for Cascade, so still might be good enough.
Mhm. Sidebinder also notably good against Cascade.
Get that trigger. Yeah, that actually is pretty sweet. We see the subtlety going to the bottom, which I guess makes sense here. If you're already a card down, going down another card for a subtlety can be kind of brutal. So we see a land here from BBD, and and that is a subtlety off the top of the deck.
Put it
Sometimes
back,
you
it
just
went
can't get
back.
away from it. Yeah. I imagine we see, oh, a Triome. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking Surveil Land, but the Triome lets you get down Sign of Draco here. If you w-
I think he's just a
actually
little
not
bit
quite,
shy.
not the right Triome to actually make it work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he needed the Jun Triumph, which I don't know if he actually has the Jun Triumph.
So
I
we
know
see an
that in regular domain, you usually only run one Triumph,
yeah,
so
yeah,
these
just the
main
wrong
decks are very
combination.
greedy.
Wow, that is another subtlety. So now we see just another land here for the Merfolk. Looks like so Nikachu's definitely shown a tendency to want to leave up the spell pierces compared to just running out things early in the game. So gonna leave up the spell pierces instead of playing the Lord. Lord revealed can get a land that will turn on the sign of Draco, I assume.
Mhm.
The missing green mana, and ooh, there's a
Ooh,
mystical dispute. That could be
really good
pretty good
draw.
here. There's no cavern or ether vial, so this is kind of the dream scenario for a mystical dispute against Merfolk.
Yeah,
And
he's
here
gonna play
comes the
Scion.
dragon. Yeah, dragon on the battlefield. No ley line, so it's a fair ish sign of Draco, but still a 4/4 flyer with some upsides.
Mhm.
And it looks like we're gonna see a subtlety, and then hmm. Do you dispute the subtlety or do you just not care? I kind of feel like I would just let it go and recast it next turn, but there's a subtlety.
Yeah, I could definitely see you letting it go. PBD is not under any pressure at all.
Yeah, pretty far heading cards right now. And yep, BBD just gonna put it back on top, I presume, and can try again next turn. Merfolk, another 2 mana lord. Let's see if Nikachu actually adds to the battlefield. Like, how long can you sit back on these spell pierces without having pressure? I feel like the longer Merfolk goes without pressuring, the worse it's gonna be against Rhinos.
Yeah, especially with only having 2 lands. It's gonna be hard for him to play 2 spells in 1 turn.
I think Nikachu really would have loved to land there to be able to like play the Lord, leave up Spell Pierce for a Cascade spell into Rhinos, but no land, gonna run out the Lord, and wow. Okay, we're gonna see the Mystical Dispute hit the Lord, and then BBD can untap and if he wants to, just Shardless Agent into Rhinos with the Coast. We know being clear, no Force Negation, no mana for Spell Pierce,
Mhm.
and we see Scion was put on top, and yeah, looks like the Rhinos are a coming. Shardless Agent. I wonder what this will find. Ah, Crashing Footfalls. Those chaotic cascade spells, you never know. Never know what they might hit.
Some people play Beans and Legacy with it.
And that's Moth Dust Changeling. The problem with putting Moth Dust Changeling in your deck is sometimes you draw it. There's a Lord of Atlantis.
Darn, drew a card I put in my deck. Unlucky.
It's good with Deep Root Pilgrimage for sure, but with the pilgrimages being sided out, it's not the best one drop. You can see the cost of having to have 28 different cards each week, kind of adding up with like Moth Dust is a card that I'm sure if Nikachu was just going to run a league or something, probably not going to have Moth Dust Changeling in the 1 drop slot.
True.
Here's the attack for 10, and can Merfolk get out of this, Luna? Is there any
Nope.
chance?
Nope.
There's a
I
fiery
did like
island.
the hibernation in your sideboard. Like, your
Get those
opponent has ley line
rhinos.
out, and you can hibernation their entire board. That's pretty
It
cool.
it would be yeah, it would be super funny if it worked out, and we see the win going to BBD, and yeah, Merfolk that game just couldn't really get the mana going to add to the board and also be able to leave up the protection there. So we see the Flames of Manure coming back in, and it seems like there's some play draw differences. I don't know about the Deep Root Pilgrimage. I wonder if they come back in being on the play or if they're going to stay out.
Yeah, I think play draw here is taking out subtlety because when you're on the play, you have less resources. And so Flame and Ore, you can kill the Scion or draw cards. Whereas when you're
That
on the draw, you just kind of want to survive and not fall too far behind.
that makes sense. And I don't think BBD's made any changes here actually that I've noticed. So might be running it back with the same setup here for game 3.
Oh
How
my
big of a
gosh.
deal
I just
is
noticed
being on the
three Force
okay.
of Vigors and BBD
Oh no.
sideboard.
Yes,
I'd
we are
tweak you if
we
he
are in
wins, or
trouble.
not you,
Yes, if
whoever plays against the three
yeah,
Force of
either one of
Vigors.
us are in trouble when we play against BPD. He is prepared. At least there's no stony silence. I think that's the most brutal.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we have one landers all around, although one land ether vial from Merfolk, which
Oh,
does oh boy. But that is
BBD's
a
hand is
very
so good.
that is a very scary hand from even with a mulligan here, having to put a card to the bottom. Leyline in the Scion with double removal spell. That is going to be a tough one. Cannot counter a leyline on turn 0, unfortunately for the Merfolk. We do see an Ether Vial. I gotta look at the Merfolk deck list. Is there a way for Merfolk to get the leyline of the Gilpec off the battlefield, or is that pretty much just there for the
I don't think
game?
there is.
Ooh,
Blue
that's gonna
red,
be
not very good at removing enchantments. Maybe
yeah.
bouncing,
I
but
guess yeah, like an Atwara to bounce it. I think there is one Atwara in the deck, which I don't know how realistic that is, but yeah, that might be an issue. That might be a little bit of an issue.
interesting. BBD's gonna try and kill the creatures, I'm guessing, not kill the vial. A fair strategy.
Yeah, I guess that's the seems to be the plan. There's a Rhinos off the top, not the best top deck. I guess it's still fairly early in the game if you suspend it, but still better to cascade into it. We do see it suspended though. Merfolk, I'm going to untap and another spell pierce. Not great against Cyan Draco.
No, it is not.
We see
And
the
those flame Venors are not gonna be able to kill it either.
yeah, Cyan Draco with a ley line. Very, very hard to deal with. Turns out hexproof is quite the mechanic.
Yep, definitely Splinter Twin situation against Merfolk.
Yeah, I think Merfolk is just not set up for this to deal with this interaction in specific. We do see the Moth Dust Changeling coming down. There's an island, which is probably good. In
Mhm.
e- in the Sign of Draco even has lifelink, so it's not like Merfolk can even super realistically race it. Like, yes, you can island walk in for some damage, but the Scion's just gonna gain it back and more.
Yep. It has vigilance as well.
A tough position to be in, and we know there's multiple removal spells too. I guess the spell pierces can help there, depending on when BBD starts firing off the removal. They might be able to catch it with a spell pierce. Here's the attack. Gets in for 4, gains back 4 life. What do you think of the Leyline Scion interaction? Like, as far as its strength in modern, like, is it
It's kind of
fine?
polarizing, to be
It
honest.
is. It really
Some
is.
decks are just not well equipped to deal with it. Like creature decks have a really hard time dealing with it. But then other decks like Oreos, I main blue white controls, so I don't really care about the combo. But it just creates very polarizing scenarios where against some decks it kind of auto wins you the game. Against other decks, it's like kind of just down a card with the ley line.
Yeah, it really is funny how it's either so good or so bad depending on the matchup. And this seems to be one of the good matchups, at
Oh
least at
yeah.
the moment. So it looks like Nikachu thinking about trying to do something with Flame of the North. There is a Wizards on the battlefield, so you do get 2 modes. If only the Scion didn't have hexproof, it would be a very nice answer, but with the Leyline out, what do you do? Draw 2 and well, I don't even know what you do with the second mode.
There is nothing you can do, is
Yeah,
there?
I don't believe so.
Draw 2 to find another lord, so we can oh,
Try to race, I guess?
just gonna wait till end of turn.
Okay, ooh, wow, this is kind of a blowout, so I think you're gonna have to Spell Pierce because yeah, you gotta protect the Lord to protect the Moth Dust and not have it get eaten by the Scion and gain a bunch more life. So there's a Spell Pierce to stop the Dismember. We'll see. Wow, there's some ley line. Okay, both of these Spell Pierces are gonna pay off, which is kind of big. I don't know if it's big enough to shift this match, but both of those Spell Pierces did the job.
Yeah, I
Keeping
think,
keeping the Lord down.
definitely helps Nikachu more since he has the double card draw.
And there's a wow, Fire Ice that can also kill the Lord. Boy, yeah, BBD is also we talked about in game one the deck being a little removal light. After sideboarding, quite a few removal spells that you can draw out of this Rhinos deck because we've seen a lot of them this game.
Yeah.
Well, here's the life linking attack for 4. It's such a tough position to be in when you see the sign of Draco and you know you can't deal with it. You feel like I can't win, but I'm like at 20 life, so I got to keep playing. But it's just such a such a tough spot to be in. Here's the cycling of the Lord revealed. Getting a Surveil land, gonna set up the top of the deck. And we still have those Rhinos coming, what, next turn? They were suspended turn 1, right? So we're
Yeah.
getting close to the Rhinos coming down. And those
Yep.
are all gonna benefit from that Scion too.
Yep. He's gonna have a whole army of life linking, vigilance creatures,
Yeah, hexproof, the whole thing.
whole shebang. I think this is why you see pick your poison a lot. Is the only way to really deal with Scion is to make him sack it or sack the ley
Yeah.
line and then play a removal spell on it.
Yeah, pick your poison's a very nice answer that we see more and more in these decks. I guess if you're playing blue-white control, you have so many answers. You probably really don't care about this at all. If you're playing blue-white,
Yeah,
uh,
blue eye control. They have supreme verdicts and they have leyline bindings and stuff. They have a lot of ways. Solitude. Well,
so
solitude
we
can't deal with it, but it can race the scion. Maybe.
yeah. So we see the flame here, which I guess is this upkeep flame to draw 2?
It's to see if he wants to tick file up or not.
Figure out, yeah, I guess that makes sense. So gonna draw, see if you hit a lord or something and put into play, choose what you want to do with your ether vial. So we do see a lord and another ether vial. So I guess you could vial in the lord and take it up, or just leave it on 2 and put it into play later. Another flame of Enor. Divination. I don't know if that's gonna be enough to get out of this situation. We see a Lord of Atlantis gonna come down. So now the Merfolk clock is increasing. The lifelink, though, is just rough, and we can see this fire here to snipe a Lord, and ooh, tough spot for Merfolk.
Yeah, I think BBDO is trying to play around potentially getting blown out by a vile response to the Fire and Ice, so he just waited until Pikachu is tapped out.
Yeah, waited with the vial on the stack, get rid of the Lord, pretty safe there. And yeah, attack for 2 with the Moth Dust Changeling. And I believe we're about to see, yep, here comes the Rhinos, and gonna be up to 12 power on the battlefield here. No answer in hand for the Merfolk.
Upkeep Surveil as well.
Yeah, there's still, although I guess that's part of the power of the ley line, right? Is you can leave these fatches uncracked and wait until you really need the surveil to take advantage of them,
Mm-hmm.
and gets extra land out of the way, draws even more lands. But
You could draw lands for the rest of the game and
yeah,
probably
and still
still
win.
win. Yeah.
Then yeah, that is probably true. Probably true at this point. And I think that Nikachu could demonic tutor instead of draw every turn for the rest of the game and probably still not win.
Yeah, also true.
Well, the vials. What are we doing? We staying on 2. Are we gonna do upkeep Flame of Venor again? I mean, at this point, it's just lethal on board, right? With the how things currently stand.
Yeah.
And all right, gonna let it go. Leaves a vial on 2. Draws an island. I guess you can Flame of Venor and see what you hit, but I'm not seeing a way out of this one.
Yep, he needs that hibernation in your
Yeah.
sideboard.
The
He's
sneaky
a wish.
hibernation. I hope it happens because it would just be so funny to get someone with the ley line with it. Well, there's the flame. Gonna draw a couple cards, see what the deck has in store, and it's a
Oh,
moth.
got another
Moth
moth
dust.
dust. That ends
Got
it.
another moth. Got another moth dust. And there is the concession, and that was a pretty impressive win there, I would say, by the Rhino deck.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of interaction back and forth.